All right, welcome back. We're looking at the performance management as a human resource function in the workplace. Today, we'll be looking at the techniques or the method of conducting a performance management appraisal or a performance management appraisal exercise, depending on what you use or what term or what language or slang you use within your own workspace, your workplace. All right. Now, a quick recap on what we have talked about so far. I shared an understanding of what performance management means. I made us understand that it's an ongoing process between the management as well as the employee, used as a tool or a process to maintain and to improve the performance of the entire workforce. All right. And this is done in order to support accomplishments of the strategic goals of the or objectives or the vision or the mission of the company. All right. Please bear this in mind. This is key. Now, performance management must be a collaboration, and this collaboration must be communicated to the employees and every member of the management cadre, because this team of persons must work together, must collaborate to plan the exercise, to monitor the exercise, and to review the exercise, review the employees. So the employees as well as the manager must work together to plan the performance appraisal exercise or the entire system, to monitor this exercise, monitor the system, and also to review this exercise so that employees in themselves will be able to know if indeed the organization, they have achieved the goals of the organization as well as achieved individual goals, because I will always encourage self-appraisal when this exercise is being carried out. So do not focus, HR practitioners should not focus only on the jobs, the tasks and the duties, responsibilities that is involved in carrying out that is carried out within the organization, or you as an employer or a CEO, you focus only on the profitability, on how the business is doing. Also ensure that self-appraisal exercises are inbuilt in your system, so employees can know of themselves if indeed they are growing on the job. It will help you anyways. It will help you on the long term. All right. Now, this collaboration must be done by these people, must come together, that these key stakeholders within this organization are involved in the entire process, both if it's long term or if it's short term. There are some exercises that are done monthly, some are bi-monthly, some are quarterly, some are done half year, some are done weekly basis, especially for those who work within target. Some are done just once in a year, depending on what structure the organization have chosen to carry out, have chosen to adopt. Now, also bear in mind that we talked about performance management involving reporting of this exercise when it is done, and then managing the progress of people, improving their performance, both as individual level or at the level of what, or at the corporate level. Now, we also mentioned that a good performance management system must align the team, the employees, the manager with the business objective, with their business goals, the business vision, and the business mission, whatever it is that is driving that particular business, while developing and supporting and helping the employees to perform and to improve their performance on the job. Okay. Now, for managers, for supervisors, superiors who are taking this course and listening on to me, it is in your best interest that your employees should always be aware of the process so as to avoid being biased. Okay. Your employees must be at the forefront of your concern. It is not about causing them harm in the office. It's not about shooting them on the feet. Remember, if you come around, there is no way. I've been in the business long enough to understand that even if it doesn't come around you while you are at that particular office, at that particular company, if you have chosen to grow or you are choosing to exit an organization to start your company, it will always come around. All right. So please bear in mind that your employees should always be forefront should always be foremost on your heart when you are carrying out the exercise. This should be at the forefront of your concerns. Okay, make sure that your employees are happy. Make sure that your employees are, your team are contented with what they are doing, with their jobs, with performing on the job. Okay, so that at the end of the day they perform better. All right, and they are recognized. They are not undervalued. They are not feeling unrecognized. They are not feeling like the environment is not playing fair, with them. So please bear in mind, this is the overview and this is the critical areas that we looked at in the previous session. Now, we also talked about that when you are carrying out a performance management system, your performance management system must address performance monitoring, must address checking the progress of your employees, must address the expectations, setting the expectations of your employees. That's setting expectations. It must also look at offering incentives, where we talked about salary increase, we talked about promotions, we talked about compensation and benefits, you understand? It must address and look at these things. Then continued professional development. I mentioned it already. We cannot overlook it. Okay, the end goal of every performance management appraisal exercise is that the employees are trained and are empowered. Now, for today, for this session, let's look at this. What are the methods or what are the techniques in conducting performance management appraisal exercise? Overall performance management. What techniques should we employ? Okay. Now, when managing individual performances, there are suitable methods. Now, when managing team performance or organizational performance as a whole, there are methods, there are techniques that are encouraged, that are advised, that are recommended, that as an HR practitioner you should use. Now, if it has to do with individual performance, strictly for that individual, strictly for that employees, you should consider 4 types of techniques, of methods, okay, or models that you can adopt. Personal development plans, okay, personal development plans, performance appraisals, utilizing feedbacks, and management by objectives. Okay, I'll take that again. Consider leveraging performance development plans as a performance appraisal system. Then consider utilizing feedback, getting feedbacks from the employees, and management by objective. Also include individual self-performance appraisal. So that's why I mentioned performance appraisal, self-performance appraisal. So ensure that you also leverage that as a tool, right, in managing individual performance. Now, when you are considering managing teams or managing an organization performance, it is advised that you and recommended that you use balanced scorecard. We will look at it. We'll know what I will tell you. We'll share with you what it means. Balanced scorecard. Consider using peer reviews or the 360-degree feedback. All right, the 360-degree feedback. Then also consider using key performance indicators. Some people call it key performance indexes or matrices. Okay, so that's KPI for short. Now, these are the key, group models, group techniques that you can use. For the individuals, I said personal development plans, self-appraisal, self-performance appraisal, utilizing feedbacks, and management by objective. You're doing that for an organization or for a team, you can use balanced scorecard, peer reviews, 360-degree feedback, and KPIs. Okay, now let's take them one after the other. For peer reviews and KPIs in managing teams, it is important for you to know that this tool allows for peers, groups, to review one another, and it provides both positive and constructive feedback because you take information, data, experiences, opinions, and results from different perspectives. All right, using the peer review or 360-degree feedback provides you as an HR practitioner with a broad assessment, okay, with a broad assessment sense, with a broad assessment of individuals' performance based on their views, based on the observation of people around them. So if you as an HR practitioner are working with other people, it is best to use this method because you are going to get details, information, data, observation, opinions, okay, views from other people about um, that particular person's performance. Now, this has its advantages and this has its what disadvantage. But let's look at the benefits. Whilst using the peer reviews or the 360-degree feedback tool, what happens is that it gives you insight that is used for employee training, for employee development. If this is done correctly, it will help you to democratize the performance of individuals within a particular team. In democratizing it, what I mean here there is that you are able to break it into clusters or break it down. You know, when people are working in a team and performance is measured based on what these 5 team members will do, what that means is that you cannot accuse one person. What that means also is that you cannot praise another against the other, because these people are not, you're not measuring their performance based on individuals. You're measuring their performance as a group of people. So please bear this in mind. Where you do or carry out the 360-degree feedback, this will help you to be able to break down who is performing well and who is not. As much as you are to carry out this activity on a team level or in a departmental basis, it is also important to note that this person is doing well and this person is doing poorly. This is the weak link and this is the leader. This is the stronger link. How are we going to help the weak link to come up, to do better, to deliver optimally on the job? All right. Now, when using the opinions of people, leveraging the peer reviews or the 360-degree feedback, individuals are also, reviews are done also on individuals, but this time around within the group, okay? So managers must ensure that you are closely observant when conducting performance management using peer reviews and the 360-degree feedback. In leveraging a 360-degree feedback, all areas are covered. You're having reviews from subordinates, you are having reviews from colleagues, you're taking reviews and views, opinions, or observations from the superiors, from management level, from everybody, including taking information from external stakeholders. So there are cases where this particular member of the team is client facing. You will need to reach out to one client, maybe take a cluster, take a group of individuals and ask them questions based on so and so group of people. Oh, please tell us, client A, tell us about our customer service unit. How have you been treated so far? There are no individual to answer that question. There's no individual, when I mean no individual to answer that question, meaning no individual to point fingers at, oh, LC was the one who attended to me. Because there are cases or there are models where the customer relations unit or customer care department has they run the rotational model, where within a week, within 2 weeks, within a month, 5 to 10 persons have attended to your needs. So in that case, you might not be able to point finger, but there are cases where it is just one customer attached to one employee. So in such cases, you will need to reach out to the customer to ensure that you cover it really as it is called 360. It has to be external stakeholders versus internal stakeholders, views and opinions. Pull up this information together and then make your assessment. All right. So this is very important. Now, when you are leveraging KPIs, key performance indicators, or key performance metrics. It is important that this tool, okay, now let me tell you this tool provides you with a way to measure how well organizations, units, departments, or projects or individuals are performing in relations with the strategic goal and objective. So where an organization does not have a goal and objective, you're just choosing, I just want to, okay, a business will say its core goal is to do what? Is to make profit. If that is a key singular KPI, then we can leverage that example. All right. When you are leveraging the tool, the KPI tool, to measure performance, especially team-based or organizational-based or project-based, it must align or it must be in relations to the strategic goal and objective, the vision and the mission of that particular project. For example, as an HR practitioner, if your organization says that we have this project, the project is to employ certain number of persons, maybe 1 million people, provide jobs for them, 1 million people in the year 2025, or 3.6 million job seekers, provide them jobs, connect them with jobs between now and 2030. What happens is that when it is time to leverage the KPI tool in performance management, we will put all of these goals together, look at the timeline and duration, and ask ourselves key questions. Are we able to meet this within this duration? What resources was imputed, was necessary to achieve these goals? So this is what this tool means, key performance indicators. So your appraisal system must leverage these indicators so you can get the best of result. Now, the main value of using KPI as a management technique is that it is helping you to leverage data. In leveraging data, you make decision, you drive proper decision making. In leveraging this data, your performance conversations are better. In leveraging this data, this important information, using the key performance indicators, you make better decisions. You can point to certain performances and attach them to certain key indicators. Because we did this, we achieved this. Because we didn't do this, we did not achieve this. Because we didn't do this on time, we lost this opportunity. Because we entered the market quickly, we gained more traction. We expanded our market share. So you can predict all of these things. I hope we have a clear understanding of this tool. Now, what's the benefit? The benefit is obvious. You have a well-designed KPIs that are stated black and white. You can, outline them strictly, clearly, simply. And these vital key points or vital key instruments will help you with navigating the project, especially all key players within and around the project. It gives you a clear picture of the current level at which that project is operating in. So if you have different stages, for example, like 5 stages, with KPIs, you will know where you are in all of this stage. If you are still in stage 1 and the timeline is saying that you're supposed to be in stage 3, what that means is that you are behind the timeline. It will show you that your business is where it is versus where it should be. It will show you if you are slowing down. It will show you if you are on point, you are right by the calendar, or you have even gone way ahead of the calendar, which will show you if it's a positive thing or if it is negative. So KPIs are very important. Now, self-appraisal for individuals now. Self-appraisal for individuals are very critical. This powerful tool helps an individual to know if they have achieved their goals and their personal objectives within that organization. All right, that's the overview. In summary, where you set up a performance appraisal system, it helps the individual employee to know, to be aware on how far they have gone with achieving their own personal goals within the organizational setting, usually in line with the business goals also. The benefit is that employees, who take on this appraisal system on a regular basis, they know, they feel that they are experiencing fairness, they show themselves the kind of honesty required for their personal growth and development. It gives like a constructive two-way conversation between them and themselves, them and their managers, or them and the HR department. So individuals will know, I will know when I take up periodic, so I take it also periodic basis, quarterly, by at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, half year was yesterday while this was recorded, all right. Half year ended yesterday, an appraisal exercise took place. Okay. Now the point is, at the end of the day, it's two-way. My books are speaking to me. I'm speaking to my books. It's helping me understand that this is what we have done so far. Have we done well? What should we do next? And how far should we go in carrying on to the next phase or in the next half year? All right. So if employees take up this assignment, they appraise themselves, they tick all of the boxes, they know if they have done well or if they have not done well. At the end of the day, they are motivated. Where this thing is not done, employees are demotivated, because you really cannot say whether or if you are moving forward or you are declining in performance. So if you're an employee here listening to me, HR practitioner, an aspiring HR administrative or operational personnel, a CEO, an entrepreneur willing to move on, please ensure you on a periodic basis carry on a personal performance, a self-performance appraisal exercise to determine how far you need to go. Now, other models or method of performance appraisal that are, very much in effect within a business in our clients right now. Also, I mentioned management by objective. We have discussed 360-degree and feedback and peer review. Now, there are times where we also talk about behavioral anchored rating scale. That's the method we'll look at it. We have the psychological appraisal, and then we have the human resource accounting method, okay, outside of the others that I have mentioned. Excuse me. Now, when you are considering leveraging a behavioral anchored rating scale method, this is where we pass off questionnaire. I think this is quite popular, where we have I highly agree, not agree, neutral, or disagree, highly disagree. Okay, these are rating methods, rating scale methods that you can use. It is very simple, it is very easy to use. So let me give you an example. There's this job role right before me that I'm reading from. It says job role, which is a nurse. Then we're trying to leverage the performance dimension with managing difficult patients. This particular nurse in a hospital, we want to determine what's the dimension of her performance in dealing with very difficult patients. And in the rating scale, we have 1 to 5, where number 1 is points like often inpatient. That's the nurse is often inpatient with difficult patients. Okay, and then we have regularly needs, and this person regularly needs other nurses to help to deal with this difficult patient. So now you could have questions like nurse Jane. If you are Jane and you're listening to me, hi. All right, so we have nurse Jane, and the question is, as a nurse, how has it been dealing with difficult patients? Remember, we mentioned the peer 360-degree feedback. For example, if we have chosen to use that feedback model in line with the behavioral anchored rating scale as a model also, we want to do a merge. And I need to present this rating scale to another nurse who is her colleague. I don't want Nurse Jane to answer this question because we have done her own self-appraisal, right? Now I want Nurse S to, who is her colleague, to answer this. So I give her this written sheet, and I tell her, or she goes online to fill this take this written test, and I tell her, rate Nurse Jane based on managing or dealing with difficult patients. Number one states that Nurse Jane is often impatient with difficult patients, and she regularly needs other nurses to help her deal with these patients. Option 2 is that she occasionally is impatient with difficult patients, and she rarely needs other nurses to help her deal with these difficult patients. Number 3 is that Nurse Jane is never impatient with difficult patients, and she shows sympathy, or she's empathetic with them in interacting with these difficult patients. The point further is that Nurse Jane is never impatient. She's never impatient with difficult patients. She shows sympathy or empathy in their interactions, and she often helps other nurses in dealing with very difficult patients. And the final rating scale, which is number 5, is that Nurse Jane is never impatient with difficult patients. She shows empathy and sympathy with this in interacting with these patients and their families. She's not just the patient, and their families when their families are around. And then she also helps other nurses with dealing with difficult patients and what? And easing their fears. So when you are looking at measuring the performance of an employee based on their behavior, leveraging the method of what? Of 360-degree feedback or peer reviews, it is important that you make sure that it is clear. And this example is one of the most used, rating skills when taking up performance appraisals, leveraging behavior, especially when you want to do an analysis, an assessment of that particular employee's behavior. This tool is very critical. All right. Now, another model is psychological appraisals. This appraisal involves assessing the intellectual capacity or the intellectual abilities, the emotional stability of the employee, the way they reason, the way they think, the way they carry out, their analytical skills, and the way they socialize with other people within the office. You also can use the tool we just use, behavioral rating scale, to determine this. Then this method is useful when taking decisions about placement for employees. So you know that this employee is whose emotional IQ is not all that balanced, okay, especially with dealing with people. You already know that you are likely not supposed to place that employee with client-facing roles. Rather, you will place that employee somewhere else where they can as well do well, but not deal with people, especially clients, okay? Until training and learning has happened, development is happening, and there is change happening within that person emotionally, intellectually, and socially, all right? Now, this appraisal system focuses a lot on future potential. So it's not just about after you have done the assessment of where we are right now. This particular appraisal is projectional, so to speak, where we are not just taking it for the now. We are taking it to make decisions based on the future and not necessarily on the actual performance. There are cases where I've shared example of the models where you can use it to determine the actual performance, especially for promotional cases, okay? Now, this person has to be promoted to the next level. Let's do a promotional exam appraisal. But there are cases where it might not even be promotional. It might be the fact that we need to make certain key decisions in the future. For example, we're opening a branch in another country. This person, let's do this appraisal exercise towards such decision in the next, say, 2 to 3 years. All right. So the psychological appraisal method or model is critical in making future decisions, not necessarily if the person is performing at the moment. Now, I'm not saying you should discard when you are leveraging the psychological appraisal system. I'm not saying you should discard other systems that actually deal with actual performance. No. After you have conducted your actual performance, leveraging any of the tools for actual performance, also use the psychological appraisal system for future decisions, right? Good. Now, in using the human resource accounting method, what you're trying to do here is that you're looking at cost versus value. Very critical. One thing about HR is that we forget that cost is associated with our activity, with our duties and responsibilities. It's not just about the people. It's not just about, and here I'm not talking about salaries. Yes, salary is a part of it. But for every individual on your team, HR practitioners, potential HR practitioners, operations personnel, administrative personnel, regardless of what department you are operating in at the moment, every employee, including yourself and myself, every individual, every workforce has a cost associated with their activity. So when you are looking at the accounting side of human resource, you are looking at the value they bring to the table versus the cost that is associated with onboarding these ones, retaining them, and keeping them. Okay, so there's the acquisition cost, there is the cost for replacement. When the person is leaving, what is the cost? A lot of employers, entrepreneurs, business owners do not know that the rate at which your employees leave your business, you are losing money. The cost of acquiring new employees, onboarding them on your business, into your business, taking on this activity versus developing your good hands and retaining them, the cost is wide apart. It is cheaper, in quotes, to build and develop existing employees, especially the ones that are good, increase their pay, increase their opportunity for growth, place them, on a continual basis, have a growth strategy for these people, than having to let them go and continue to hire more people. In your heart or in your eyes, you think, in quotes, there are people who are looking for jobs. Yes, we have millions of people looking for jobs. Like, for example, Lighthouse has the goal, give or take, by 2030, we would have connected Africans with viable jobs. Companies across the globe versus African talent seeking quality employment. My heart desire is that by 2030, right, at least 3.6 million people, we started this a while actually, 3.6 million people, Africans, especially Nigerians, right? I'm Nigerian. So Africans will have viable jobs to improve their standard of living. Employers who are looking for quality hands, Lighthouse is able to do what? To join you together, all right? Connect you with the kind of quality talents that you need to cause your business to thrive. And employees or potential employees will be able to work within these global organizations across the globe, whether multinationals, local organizations, community-based, government-based, regardless. But you must know, as an employer, as a business owner, that for every time you lose quality hands, right, your cost goes up. We have a lot of people job hunting, yes, but the point is this: why don't we create other businesses and get these people employed? Now, I'm not saying that you should not discard those who are performing poorly after you have done all to stand. All to stand means that you have trained them, you have given them opportunity to improve on their performance, you have moved them across several departments, you have done all, and you are saying that employment termination is the last resort, and yet it is not happening. You have moved them to other departments, leveraging their strengths, and even at that, they are still laid back on their work. They're not contributing to the organization's growth as well as to their own personal growth themselves. I'm not saying you should retain such, okay? People who are tardy at work after several warnings, after helping, coaching, mentoring, training, even pouring out so many resources for them to be better, and it's not working. Oh, please enjoy yourself in letting them go. But the point is, the cost must be looked at. What are your associated costs in acquisition? What is the associated cost in replacement versus the value, the present value this particular employee is given? What is your expense model? What is the value to your organization, the value to other people? These are associated costs that you must consider in doing what? In performance appraisal. Now, in management by objective model, this is the process of specifically designing your objective, defining your objective, where you define it clearly for all to understand. And then you set these goals, you set these objectives for individuals, to execute. So we have an overall goal, we have clearly defined it, we have already matched this goal versus this person or versus this department, and then we align every individual or every group, we align ourselves to achieving those goals, okay? This powerful specific tool helps with work, helps that work is executed and done in time, okay? So we're not just all doing the same thing. We know this is your strength, we know this is this person's strength. We put each of these team members or individuals within their strength, and then within these objectives, we all execute it interdependently, not independently, interdependently, what it is done to save time. Now, this method is a way of creating a culture of achieving common goals. We do things differently, but not without each other, all right? This objective will help us to achieve our goals faster. We also help individuals be aware of what other people are doing. And with that, there is massive support within the group, within the project. It motivates the employees, it increases and it improves their morals. All right. They are motivated to work. They are aware of their achievements. They are aware of what we need to achieve. They are aware of the goals. They know who is responsible for executing this. At the end of the day, we all come back. It's like bricks. It's like putting building blocks together and building a house together. All right. We are independent. We are interdependent of each other. We have each other's tasks to achieve. But at the end of the day, when we all come together, we have achieved a whole lot. The entire project is executed. The benefit of this is that individual performance is measured and organizational performance is measured based on a certain set standard. Remember, we have talked about standard in previous session. Now, the balanced scorecard. The balanced scorecard is an important tool for businesses. Managing performance using the balanced scorecard helps businesses to have clarity financially, have clarity on their customers, have clarity on learning and growth, have clarity on their internal operations, which focusing on KPIs, the level of, of the results, focusing on giving clarity on strategy, it gives clarity on communications, and then the potential for business success, all right? Balanced scorecard will help you to monitor the progress. It will help you to measure the extent to which business priorities and objectives are being delivered from a business point of view and a business from the business perspective. When you are leveraging the balanced scorecard assessment model, you are also, defining and measuring action plans next action plan, current action plan, previous action plan, and what are we supposed to do next. You are ensuring that whatever initiatives that have been in place or have been set in place are delivered in accordance with the priorities of the business. Okay, and this covers, covers OPEX, that's the operational expenses. It covers your net profit. It covers the revenue, total revenue, and that is coming, and income coming into the company. It covers your internal operations, like the lifespan of the employment, like your operational operations, your operational activities, I mean, your customer care operations, your HR department. It covers your learning and your growth, your employee learning and growth and development. What are you teaching your employees? It helps you with retention, okay? It also helps you with managing different level of decision making, different level of engaging your customers, different level of their satisfaction. All right, customer satisfaction, customer retention, gaining more customers. All of these key areas are what the balanced scorecard uses. Now and finally, your personal development plan. These are action plans that are based on helping the employees improve on their performance. We reflect, it shows, it evaluates whether the performance of this individual is tied to their personal development. So there are cases where if you set up certain goals to improve the performance of that individual, the question you're asking is that what actions are we to take to support the personal development of that employee so as to achieve the goal. All right, this particular model is often used to identify certain training required to help that employee to perform optimally on the job. So what are their training needs? What are their mentoring and coaching needs? The moment you are able to do this analysis, you know what tool or what area to focus on in building the capacity of that particular individual, that particular employee. And what are your gains? As an HR practitioner, what you will gain is that you're going to help with building the capacity. You're going to set out on helping that employee to grow and to take actions where necessary in order to achieve growth and development for themselves first, as well as for the organization. Now, this will also help all employees to feel more invested in. When an employer chooses to invest adequately on their employees, I bet you, I have first-hand experience, and with testimony to the fact that when you contribute, you invest in empowering your team by training and development, okay, what happens is that you will see the joy in delivering on the job. They take up their roles, they play their roles well, and they will choose to succeed. Except those who have chosen to want to sabotage the entire project. However, those with a good heart, it's a tool that when you leverage, it will show the kind of person your team members are, or the kind of people your team members are. All right, now we have come to the end of the performance management course. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Now, amongst these tools, which of these two resonates with you in terms of personal performance appraisal, of helping individuals improve on their performance, which also resonates with you in terms of helping a department, a unit, or an organization improve on their performance? Share your thoughts in the comment section and see you in the live session. Bye.